Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Emee. Welcome to Self-Publishing Made Simple. I would assume that you're interested in writing a book. For the past couple of days, I've had some responses from people. They are saying, oh, I want to write a book, but I just don't know where to start. So I'm doing this today to help you to get started with your book. And I did promise that this is going to be just 15 minutes because the last thing that I want to do is to hold you back from your writing by watching a video. I want you to actually get on with it and start writing your book today if you can. So I'm going to share with you 5 simple steps to start writing your book and finish it in 90 days or less. So let's get on with it, shall we? Right. So the first step that I'm sharing with you today, and this is absolutely important, a lot of aspiring authors skip this part. They just have this wish, they hope, they have this ambition to write this book. But the very, very first step that you have to do is to make a conscious decision to write your book. You need to make this commitment to write your book and switch your thinking from I hope or I wish that I could write a book, but instead switch it and change it into I will write a book. Until you make that conscious decision and commitment to write a book, your book will just be a fantasy. So never skip this part. I want you to make that conscious decision to write your book, make that commitment. And if you want, I would even encourage you to write it down on a piece of paper and say, I will write my book in 90 days. Put it on your fridge so everybody in your house can see it and you've made that commitment to write your book. Or if you want, there are some people who are brave enough to make a public commitment to write a book. So they will post it on social media and say, I will write my book, and they keep themselves accountable in that way. Alternatively, we actually do have an authors group, the Self-Publishing Made Simple community. We keep each other accountable in that way. We have people in there who would say, I will write my book in 30 days, or I will write my book in 90 days, whatever it is. They make that public accountability and commitment, and that helps them to stay motivated and get on with their book. So that's the first step. Please do not skip that part. The first step is making that conscious decision to write your book and make that commitment to write your book. As much as possible, have witnesses with you, when you make that commitment, so you'll be held accountable to that goal. So that's the first step. The second step is, once you've made that commitment, is to find the time to actually do it. If you are hoping to write a book and just say, I'm going to write it when I have the free time, whenever I have spare time, I promise you, you will never, ever find free time. That spare time will never come. So if you want to write a book in 90 days or less, what you need to do is to have a look at your calendar, look at your diary, and find in advance those specific, blocked, consistent time in your calendar that you can block out and dedicate just for your book. In a previous live teach, I actually shared how I found the time to write my book because I had a full-time job and also a busy family life. So my son wakes up at 8, we go to work, we get home by 6 at night. So there's actually no time during the day or at night to write my book. But I found the time at 6 in the morning, from 6 till 8 in the morning, Monday to Friday. That's when I found the time to write my book. It's just 2 hours a day from Monday to Friday. So that's 10 hours a week. And that blocked, concentrated time helped me to write 3 books last year, even if I had a busy family life and a full-time job. So when you make the commitment to write your book, I also want you to find that time in advance, block that time out. Doesn't matter if it is just 5 hours a week. Let's say you have 1 hour on Monday, maybe another hour on Wednesday, and maybe 3 hours on the weekend. But I want you to have a close look at your calendar and block out the time in advance and dedicate that time in advance for your book. That is the only way to get it done, because if you are hoping that you will just find free time out of the blue, there will always be something more urgent that will come up. There will be another emergency or another priority that will come up, and your book will just evaporate just like that. So I would encourage you, when you make a commitment to write a book, find that blocked, consistent, focused time in your calendar in advance, make it consistent, and just concentrate on your book during that time. Okay? So first step, make a commitment and have witnesses when you make that commitment. And second, find the time, block that time in your calendar. Okay? The third step now is you have to choose what to write about. You have to choose your topic. And this is something that a lot of aspiring authors struggle with because they have a lot of ideas in their heads. They have a lot of book ideas. They have so much knowledge to impart and so many stories to share with their audience. So they find it difficult to pinpoint exactly what to write about. So I'm getting some thumbs up here. Yes, it's a common issue for aspiring authors. So how do we resolve this? How do you pin down what to write about? And here's what I would suggest. Instead of asking, what shall I write about? My question is, who are you trying to write for? Who are you trying to reach? Who is your ideal reader? When you ask that question, I want you to imagine a very particular, specific person in mind and ask yourself, what does this person want to read about? What does this person need right now? What can I do to help this person? And once you identify that, it will be easier for you to pin down your topic because you are catering for a very particular person who has specific needs, who's looking for specific information, or who wants to read some inspirational story from you. So instead of asking the topic, what should I write about? Ask first, who are you writing for? Who is your ideal reader? And write for that particular person. Have that person in mind as you write your book, and it will be easier for you to identify what to write about because you have that reader. You're thinking about your reader and you're writing for that reader. So I'm in step 3 now. So the first step, make a commitment and have witnesses. Second, find that block time in your calendar. And the third is to identify your reader, identify who you're writing for, and the topic will follow once you know who's going to read your book. Okay, so that's the third step. The fourth step now is, now that you've identified a topic, is to actually create your outline. And this is where logic comes in. Because I'm an organized freak, I actually do have a spreadsheet when I start developing my outline. So in the first column, I have the title for the chapter. And then in the second column, I have the particular aim for that chapter. And then I identify 3 key points, on what I want to cover for that chapter. So I'm very clear that, there might be some overlaps in between chapters, but, I have to identify 3 key messages per chapter, in my outline. Sometimes I also identify what is the key problem I want to address in that chapter and outline specific strategies or techniques that I want to cover in that chapter. So that's all in my spreadsheet. And what I've noticed as well is, based on feedback from my readers, people actually love reading stories. So you might want to think about, what story do you want to talk about in that particular chapter? And because I'm an academic, I'm a researcher, I'm a bit of a nerd, in case you haven't noticed, I also want to inject evidence-based, some research in my book. So I also add that in my outline. So it's all laid out in the spreadsheet even before I start writing. So that's the fourth step. Lay it all out in your outline. I do it as a spreadsheet. So even before I start writing, I'm absolutely clear about what I'm going to write about for each chapter. I'm already clear about my target audience. I know who I want this book for. I have that focused, dedicated time to write my book, and I've made that commitment, and I had witnesses who will keep me accountable. So the final step is really, you just have to get on and write your book. There are some people who aren't as comfortable with their writing. So what I would suggest it is for people to actually record their thoughts. If they already have an outline of what they want to talk about, they can record it and transcribe it and have it edited later. But when you follow the initial 4 steps, of making a commitment, keeping yourself accountable, having that focused time to write your book, understanding your audience, and then creating that outline even before you write, writing will be a breeze. It will be so much easier to write, and it will just flow because you have that clarity, you have that foundation even before you start writing. So that's it, really. I would strongly encourage you to get on with writing. But before you start writing, first step, please, really important, make that commitment to write your book. Make yourself accountable to that commitment. Have a witness. If you want to make it publicly available, if you want to be publicly accountable, you can post it on social media. Or if you want to join our self-publishing Made Simple community, we will hold your hand and keep you accountable as well, because writing can be such an isolating experience, right? It can be a lonely experience when you're writing on your own, and you might have difficult times, and if you have no one to support you, you might just give up, if your drive is not that strong. So make a commitment, have witnesses, and keep yourself accountable. Second, block a time, schedule it in advance so you have that focused, consistent time to write your book. Third, identify your topic. But the way to identify your topic, because I know a lot of authors struggle with this, the way to identify your topic is to identify your readers first. Engage in a conversation with your readers. Meet them in person if you have people that you can meet in person, and ask them, what should I write about? What do you need right now? What kind of books what kind of information do you need right now to help you solve your problems? What are their goals, their aspirations? And write something that your ideal audience will find useful. So that's the third one. Identify your topic, but the way to identify your topic is to get to know your audience well. Fourth step is to lay it all out, have a really clear structure. In my case, I actually do have a spreadsheet. I just spend about half an hour to about an hour laying out all the topics, all the information that I want to cover in the book. And then finally, I get on with my writing. It just flows so much easier when you have that really good preparation to begin with. So I hope you found that helpful. I really want you to get on with your book. I truly believe that we all have something special to share. We have all this knowledge and experience that's just waiting to burst out and to be shared to everyone. It's a wonderful legacy and a huge accomplishment to write a book. So I would strongly encourage you to do it. And if you need accountability and support, do join the self-publishing Made Simple community. I'm actually going to post it in the comments right now if you haven't joined our group yet. It's a really helpful group, and we keep each other accountable. We set our weekly intentions every Monday, and then we check again on Friday to see if you've managed or if you had challenges or blocks along the way. We're just there to support each other. When people launch their books, we also help each other. And every Tuesday, I'm also there for live Q&As. If you have any questions about writing or self-publishing, you're more than welcome to ask questions there, and I'll be there to support you. So that's it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I'm so happy that you are here, and if you need any support, we'll be waiting for you inside in the Self-Publishing Made Simple community. Until then, see you on the inside. But for now, I say goodbye. Bye, and keep writing. Bye-bye. Bye.